Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, April 28th, and we're going to go over our morning work today, or our schoolwork for today. And then I just wanted to remind everybody that you can pick up the entire printed packet for the rest of the school year at the school's office today through Thursday. So we're going to be open at the school from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings from 9 a.m. to noon. The packets are up front, ready to go. I printed one for everyone in the class, so in case anyone wants to stop by and pick those up. And then remember, you won't have to drop anything back off. If you have a cell phone that you can take a picture of the daily assignment sheet signed and marked off, that would be fine. You can send it to my email, or you can scan it in. Any of those choices work. And that will be the only page. Also, in our packet, the very first day, yesterday, you had several pages of the times tables. And those didn't have to be done today or yesterday, excuse me. You're just supposed to work on those over the next 3 weeks. So spread them out, maybe do 1 or 2 pages. Even if you're already on the 5s or 6s or 7s, getting finished with those and then going back and maybe practicing might be good practice as well, because those are just there for you to keep practicing. All right, so let's get on to our Tuesday work. We have a math lesson today, and then we have something in our interactive notebook. So going over today's work, we have our morning work, page 128. We'll go over that in just a moment. If you'll do 2 more spelling city assignments, that will keep you on track to be done by Thursday. Read works, if you haven't finished our story we started yesterday, the junk food battles, or if you have some from the last week or the week before that you haven't finished, you can work on those all week. So I will just take a grade for those, maybe in another week, and check all of them to see that you're finished. Going to vocabulary, so just go to our Google Classroom. Let me see if I can go over there. Let me pull that up. Okay, so if we go over to Google Classroom, excuse me, let's go over here to vocabulary page. All right, so there are our synonyms and our antonyms for each of our words. So for both pages there, so you can work on those and just put those into your book. Let's go ahead and head back to our main page here. Okay, so we're going to be doing our synonyms and antonyms for our 5 words. And then in our grammar, you're going to get out your grammar notebook. And we're going to do the page that is in the packet called Dialog. So let me make my screen just a little bigger so we can see each other here. Hello. All right, so you're going to glue this into your grammar. Mine is right after we did our Unit 3 review. So we're going to put that in here. And I color-coded mine so that the blue ones are when they have the tag at the end. The red ones are when they have the tag at the beginning. And then we're just going to lift the flap and write our sentences correctly with the correct punctuation. So you can always go back to yesterday's video to see how we did it in our slide. And we can go over that tomorrow with our answers as well. I'll give you a little time to work on that yourself. So good for us to think about it without just getting the answer. So I'll give you the answers tomorrow. And then in our math is fun notebook, yesterday we did less than half and greater than half. So I suppose I should make it big again. Anyway, there we go. So these are the ones that you should have under less than 1/2. You should have the 2/8, the 2/6, and the 1/4. And I drew a picture under those to show that 2/8 is much less than 1/2 of the picture. 2/6 is less than the half of a picture, and 1/4 is less than half. So those go under less than 1/2. And then under greater than 1/2, I know the words are backwards, but you have them in your book, 2/3, 3/4, and 4/6. And then I did a picture showing 2/3 is more than a half. 3/4 is more than a half. 4/6 is more than half of the shape. So that is the answer for those. One more time. 2/8, 2/6, 1/4, 2/3, 3/4, and 4/6 under those. All right, so that's for your math. And then we have in your writing, today we're going to be finishing up your informational writing on your animal. I am super excited to read everyone's paper. So one of the suggestions is you can type it in Google Docs, and then you can email it to me, or you can go back to, I think it was lesson 4, and try to add or change. But don't forget, you want to check for spelling mistakes. You want to check that you started every sentence with a capital letter. You want to make sure that you use punctuation. Make sure that you added a hook, some sentences that are a hook. That, remember, we did the lesson where it grabs your attention and makes you interested. Maybe some of your paragraphs have facts. Remember to point out different things about your animal and teach me about that animal. Tell me some things I didn't know. Tell me some things you learned. And so we'll just kind of make it a complete paper of all the information that you learned about your animal. So now you're an expert on that animal, and you're going to write that paper and share that with me. And then we're going to be doing a math lesson in our Envision notebook. Workbook. I'm getting the two of those confused today. All right, we're going to go over page 128. On our language part, it says, read the sentence and select the correct word to complete it. So under number 1, we can choose breezy or stormy. You can just color in the A or the B that will make the sentence correct. The blank weather forced all of the shops to close for the day. So the breezy weather or the stormy weather. We're comparing the strength of those words. Number 2, the lettuce in the fridge is 2 weeks old, but it's still okay to eat or fresh to eat. You can color in A or B. Number 3, the wolf pack blank at the moon so other wolves in the forest would hear. So the wolf pack whimpered at the moon, or the wolf pack howled at the moon. So you can choose which one you're going to put there. All right, in our math problem, we have a story problem, which is always good to see what's important and what's not. So let's read through that. Barry is mailing some gifts to his cousins. The bag of marbles weighs 4 ounces. The toy car weighs 3 ounces. The jump rope also weighs 3 ounces. He packs the gifts in a box that weighs 6 ounces. How much does the whole package weigh? Now, it's nice to know Barry is mailing some gifts to his cousin, but that is not important in the sentence. What is important is how much does this package weigh in ounces? We have 4 ounces of marbles, 3 ounces of toy cars, 3 ounces of jump ropes, and 6 ounces of the box. How many ounces was the package? You can put those together. All right. And then read the text and answer the items. Number 5 says, tell what it means when the author says we can make exercise fun. So obviously the author is going to talk about making exercise fun, but what do they mean? How do we know that? Number 6, did the author give reasons why we should make exercise fun? Did the author give ways to make exercise fun? Tell why you think so. So you will go ahead and put in information there to tell us what you learned from the story. So let's go ahead and read the story. It's important to make exercise fun, so we want to do more of it. I agree with this very much. Exercise is good for our health, and we feel better when we do it. One thing that helps make it fun is the variety, or how many choices there are. So we learned about that in our context clues unit. If we don't know what variety means, it provided the definition of it right after. It's fun is the variety or how many choices there are. Variety means how many choices. For example, if you don't like using jump rope or running, you can try using a bike or walking. If you want to exercise outside, you can swim or do yard work. So they're giving lots of examples of things you could do inside and outside. If you want to stay inside, you can use a yoga mat or do sit-ups. Some things that can make exercise more fun are listening to music, wearing fun exercise clothes, and exercising with friends. So after we read that, tell what it means when the author says we can make exercise fun. What does that mean? And then number 6, did the author give reasons why we should make exercise fun? Did the author give ways to make exercise fun? So explain your answer. All right, so we're going to cruise down here. There's your page for your interactive notebook. Dialogue, the exact words that a character says, is called dialogue. The tag tells us who said it and how they said it. So tags at the end of a sentence. I baked some cookies. So quotation mark, starts with a capital letter, comma, quotation marks, because I baked some cookies is what was said out loud. Said Mom. I love when you bake cookies, I exclaimed. So in this situation, when it's strong feeling or a question, we put the punctuation in here, not a comma. We put it in here and then end it and put punctuation there. Can I have 2 cookies? I asked. So we have our quotation marks, our question mark, and then our tag at the end. Tags at the beginning. She whispered, don't wake the baby. So we have to put a comma here. And then also remember, capitalizing the first word in the sentence because this is the out loud part. I asked, comma, can I please hold the baby? Quotation marks and your punctuation. She exclaimed, of course you can. So we have our quotations, our punctuation here, and our comma goes there. So as you go under here, she yelled, see you tomorrow. So the tag is at the beginning. So she yelled, comma, quotation marks, capital letter, see you tomorrow. And that's strong feeling. So what's the punctuation and quotation marks? This one shows the tag at the end. Can I play outside? So it's a question. If it's a question or strong feeling, we need to put the punctuation there. So our question mark goes in here. We need to put our quotation marks in here and then our punctuation at the end. So you'll cut these little flaps out and you'll write underneath the way that the dialogue should look with the quotation marks. She yelled, see you tomorrow. Can I play outside? I asked. It's going to rain, said Dad. Jake asked, are you almost done? I love that dress, Chloe exclaimed. Mom said, I am tired. All right, so that goes in your grammar notebook. And then we're going to get on to our lesson. So let me get our video pulled up. All right, so we're going to be working in our Envision book. We're going to be on page 673. It says lesson 13.1 or -1, equivalent fractions use models. So the first page is 673. Let's go to 674. I'm sure it's going to load any moment now. All right, so this will be the page you're looking at in your book while we go over it with our video. All right, let's get started with our video.
How can different fractions name the same part of a whole? Think about this question during the lesson. The Chisholm Trail was used to drive cattle to market. Ross's herd has walked 1/2 the distance to market. What is another way to name 1/2? What information does the problem give? What do you need to find?
All right, so looking at the problem, the information they give us is they show us what the whole amount is. They show us what half of the amount is. And so we can also break that half down to another smaller spot to be able to figure it out in a different way.
The problem states that Ross's herd has walked 1/2 the distance to market. You need to find another way to name 1/2. Different fractions can name the same part of a whole.
I know you can break a whole into lots of different parts.
Fractions that name the same part of a whole are called equivalent fractions. Find the missing values. You can use fraction strips. The fractions 1/2 and 2/4 represent the same part of the whole.
So we double it, but the smaller the pieces, we can just double it again. So if we were going to double 2, 2 times 2 is 4. If we were going to double that, 4 times 2 is, so you can think about what would be the next number underneath.
2 1/4 strips are equal to 1/2. So 1/2 equals 2/4. Another name for 1/2 is 2/4. You can find other equivalent fractions. Think about fractions that name the same part of the whole.
All right, we're going to give it a try.
Drag the fraction strips. Complete the row of 1/2 strips. Then complete the row of 1/4 strips. Then make a full row of 1/8 strips.
So we're finishing the half. We're going to finish the 4th. And now we're going to finish with the 8th. So right away you can see that you would need 4 of these for the 4 of these 8th size pieces to equal a half, or to equal 2 of the quarter size pieces. All right, so then I know that you see that in your book already, but now as you saw that we were dragging it over, hopefully you were able to see how we can build this with different fractions that will still be equal to 1/2.
For example, 1/2 equals 4/8. Which fraction is equivalent to 3/4?
So we can see that there's
Select your answer.
1, 2, 3 of these 4th size pieces. So if you come down here, we can count how many 8th size pieces. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6/8 is the same as 3/4.
3/4 equals 6/8. Now you know how different fractions can name the same part of a whole.
So if you're cooking and you need to have, a 1/4 of a cup of something, but you don't have a 1/4 of a cup in your cupboard, you just have an 1/8, then you know that you could double up that 1/8, and that would equal 1/4. So that can be helpful if you don't have certain things, how you can convert it into a different fraction. All right, we're going to go to our page. So I need to go back to this so that I can write on mine. Hello, there I am. Okay, so that was the page that we did. So on the convince me, in the examples above, what pattern do you see in the numerators and denominators of the fractions that are equivalent to 1/2? What's another name for 1/2 that is not shown above? So we look up here. What do we notice? What pattern do we notice with our numerators and our denominators? Okay, so we can put our little text box in here. Okay. So what we notice, we can see we can see a pattern that the numerator is half of the denominator. So what does that mean? Oops, I spelled it wrong. Denominator. So what that means is, so if 2 is half of 1, then what's half of 4? So if you count to 4, so you have 4. So when you cut it in half, you have 2 on this side and 2 on that side. So 2 out of 4 would be half. If you have 8, then what's half of 8? What would be half of 6? So half of 6 would be 3/6. So we could also put down 1/2 is equal to 2/4. And we can also do 1/2 is equal to 3/6 because that's half. Here's a harder one. 1/2 is equal to 6/12. Because if you have 12 pieces, half of that is 6. So you can pause the video and write that down on your Convince Me. And then when you're ready, come back and join us on the next page, 675. All right, so on 675, it says, another example, you can find an equivalent fraction for 4/6 using an area model. So we draw a picture. We can use the area model to show that when you have 4 pieces colored in out of 6 pieces, and you have 2 pieces colored in out of 3 pieces, they are the same size. So if you're thinking about the pan, if you cut it up into 3 sizes, 3 pieces, they'd be really big pieces, but 2 of those pieces would be the same as if you would have cut it into 6 pieces and had done 4 of them. Both area models have the same size whole. One is divided into sixths, the other shows thirds. The shaded parts show the same part of a whole because 4/6 is equal to 2/3. Another name for 4/6 is 2/3. And then we'll go down to our guided practice. It says, divide the second area model into sixths. Shade it to show a fraction equivalent to 1/3. So here's our model showing 1/3. And now we're going to break this one up into 6, it says here. So we'll try our best to make it nice and neat. It's not writing at all. So break it into 6 pieces. So we've got 2, 4. I don't really like that line. Let's try that again. A little better. So we have 2, 4, 6 pieces. So we need to shade it to show a fraction equivalent to 1/3. Make our line a little bigger here so it won't take us quite so long. So we need to shade in. Okay. So that's the same size as this, but this one is broken into 6 pieces. This one's broken into 3. So we have the 3 here. So now we need to write our fraction for this one. And our fraction for this one would be 2/6. Get it to one thing I appreciate about everything, guys, is your patience. I'm sure it's hard to be patient for all of these things going on here. Let's bring it down a little bit. All right, so 1/3 is equal to 2/6, or 2 pieces out of 6 is the same as 1 out of 3. Number 2 says, use the fraction strips to help you find an equivalent fraction. So in your Math is Fun notebook, the other day we did our fraction strips. So we're supposed to glue those in. Do you remember that page that I showed you? So if you look at your fraction strips, you'll be able to look down and see what other ones could be equivalent. So you just have to measure that they're the same size. So it says use the fraction strips to show you, to help you find an equivalent fraction. So 1/4 is equal to how many pieces out of 8? 2 out of 8 pieces is the same as 1/4. All right, so you can still have that notebook out with you while you're doing this practice. All right, so on independent practice, use the fraction strips to help you find an equivalent fraction. So 1/2 is the same as how many out of 4? 2 pieces out of 4 pieces. What else could we do? We could do 4 pieces out of 8 pieces. If you look on your fraction pieces here, what else could we do? So we could also do 5 out of 10, because that would be enough as well. So all of those are equal to 1/2. They're all the same as 1/2. Number 4 says, divide the second area model into eighths. Shade it to show a fraction equivalent to 1/2. All right, so it's saying to us, divide the second area model into eighths. I think I need to make our line skinny again. Okay. We can cut it in half, and then we've got 2, 4, 6, and 8. So there are 8 pieces here, and we need to show half. That half of this is colored in, because half of this one is colored in. So we're going to need to color 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 pieces, 4 pieces, just to get to the same amount. Okay, so then in our text box, we're going to write our equivalent fraction. 1/2 is the same as 4 out of 8. All right, hopefully you can see that. Let's go to 5, 6, 7, and 8. So if it says find an equivalent fraction, use fraction strips, or draw area models to help, you can use your fraction strips that we've already put into our math book. So you can find 3/4 and find 3/4. So like there's the line for 3/4. And so just come down and see which one of these is equal to that. So when I bring my hand down, I can see that 6/8 is the same size as 3/4. 6/8 is the same as 3/4. This one says 6 pieces out of 6 pieces. You know that's a whole. So if we want to have a whole equal a whole, our number needs to be 8 pieces out of 8 pieces. We have all of it there. Number 7, 2/6 is equal to how many thirds? So if you look on your fraction strips and you find 2/6, I can figure out that it is how many thirds? It is equal to 1/3. It's not going to let me write. There we go. 1/3. And then 4/8 is equal to how many? 1/2. So you can refer to this while you're working. Remember, we've got one that's cut into odds and evens, and then the whole thing here. Another thing you can do is get a strip of paper and fold, and so we'll do that in just a moment on the next one. All right, so turning the page to 676. All right, number 9. Marcy used fraction strips to show equivalent fractions. Complete the equation. So she's got something out of 4 is equal to what? So how many fourths we could show? We could show 2 of them because it shows us 2 of those fourths. So how many 8th size pieces would you need? You would need 4. Oopsie, let me get that one more time. You would be equal to 4/8 because we can see there's 4/8 there. Rita says the fraction strips show fractions that are equivalent to 1/2. Explain what you could do to the diagram to see if she is correct. So Rita says the fraction strips show fractions that are equivalent to 1/2. So we can see this is 1/2. We can show this is 1/2. So what could we do to the diagram to see if she's correct? What do you think we could do? So we could add a 1/2 size shape to the diagram to show that 2/4 and 4/8 are equal to 1/2. You can put your wording in any way you want to on that. So remember, pause anytime you need to catch up. I'm just going to go through this so your video is not too terribly long. I feel bad when they're really long. All right, so number 11. A band learns 4 to 6 new songs every month. What is a good estimate for the number of songs the band will learn in 8 months? So the lowest they have is 4, the highest they have is 6. So what is most likely? What's right in the middle? Most likely we're going to be doing 5. All right, so a good estimate for the number of songs the band will learn in 8 months. So if they learn about 5 songs every month for 8 months, they will learn how many songs? 5 songs every month for 8 months. 8 groups of 5. So they will learn 40 new songs. Because 5 times 8 equals 40. All right. Number 12. 3/8 of a playground is covered by grass. What fraction of the playground is not covered by grass? So remember, we have the total, is 8. There are 3/8 of the playground is covered. So if we write down, if we've got 8 is the total and we take away 3, we have 5 pieces left. So there would be 5/8 of the playground not covered by grass. Hopefully you can see. So this would be 3/8. And if you have to draw a picture is always very, very helpful. So you can certainly do that down here if you needed to draw, a picture and divide this up into 8 pieces. 1, they're obviously not even pretty pieces here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's the 8 pieces of the playground. And it says that 3 are already covered up with grass. So 1, 2, 3. These are already covered with grass. So how many are not? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of these 8 pieces. So 5/8 of the playground is not covered. All right, so on this one, you might want to get some paper so you can cut some strips. So that's what I did. I've grabbed some paper, and so I can fold these and into strips. So I've made them the same size. So they're all the same size. And I'm going to fold them a certain way. So let's see what they say. Aiden folded 2 strips of paper into 8ths. He shaded a fraction equal to 1/4 on the first strip and a fraction equal to 3/4 on the second strip. Show the fractions Aiden shaded on the pictures to the right. Which fraction of each strip did he shade? Okay, so what I would do, first off, I've got my paper. Okay, and they're all the same length and the same size. And the first thing I'm going to do, since I'm doing this in 8th, 8th is an even number, we're going to fold it in half. See that? Fold it in half. Then fold it in half one more time. Okay, now open it and see how many pieces you have. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, but it said 8. Okay, so fold it back up and fold it one more time. That makes 3 folds that we did from the very beginning. So the first one was fold it in half, fold it in half again, fold it in half one more time, and then when you open it, you should have 8 pieces. So I drew lines on my 8 pieces so I could see them a little bit better. Okay. And then it said that we're breaking these up into 4ths. Well, wait, I have these in 8ths. So what could I do? I could count by 2 and see 2, 4, 6, 8. So I have 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. So I can have 4 pieces. All right, so I have 2 of these cut out with my lines on here. And then I can color them in according to what the problem says. So let's go back to the problem. All right, so it says Aiden folded 2 strips of paper into 8ths. He shaded a fraction equal to 1/4 on the first strip. So that to me means that we've got just 2 that we're going to mark off. and the rest we're not going to mark off. And then on the other one, we're going to mark off a fraction equal to 3/4. So there's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So on my strip, the only thing I have left are 2 little spots on the end to show 3/4. So the question says, show the fractions 8 and shaded on the picture to the right. Which fraction of each strip did he shade? So first things first, we have to draw. We're breaking this up into, oops, that's a big piece. Let's break that into a smaller line here. Okay. So instead of the 2, so if it was broken up into 2, let me just draw a little example here. That might be 8. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. And it wants me to do into fourths. So I can go ahead and color this in. I can break that into, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to color in oopsie. Okay, so then that means, and I'm going to use a different color so I can show you my lines here. That means I can break this into 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. This one, we're going to do 3/4. So if we break this into fourths, same thing. Okay, so we have 1 piece, 2 pieces, 3 pieces, 4 pieces. Let's go back up here, get our red again. We're going to be coloring in 3 of these 1/4 size pieces. All right, let's see if we've answered the question. All right, so it says show the fractions 8 and shaded on the picture to the right. So we did that. Which fraction of each strip did he shade? So this one, we did 1/4. And on, oh, that's not showing you very well. And on this one, we did 3/4 is equal to 2/4 out of 8. And so let me move this one right here. So move it up to the top so I can answer it better. So that means that 1/4 is equal to how many 8 pieces did we do? 2 8s. It was broken into 8 at first, and then we broke it into fourths. So now it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a little bit of a harder question, but that is the answer right there. So this one's 3/4 or 6/8. This one is 1/4 or 2/8. All right. Which fractions are equivalent? Choose all that apply. So 1/4 and 1/8. So let's go check it out. Let me use my writing tool. So 1/4 and 1/8. 1/8. Could that be correct? Doesn't look like it, does it? Okay. The next one, 1/4 and 2/8. Okay, so we've got 1/4 and 2/8. Those look like they're the same. They look like the same to me too. So let's mark that. And go to the next one. 2/4 and 4/8. So let's color around 2 out of the 4. So there's 2 1/4 size pieces, and the other one is 4. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that look like they're equivalent? Yes. All right, and 3/4 and 3/8. So let's check that out. Here's 3/4. And then let's do 3/8. 1, 2, 3. Do those look like they're the same size? Nope, those don't work. All right, let's try the last one, see if it's a match. 3/4 and 6/8. So let's go here. 3/4 and 6/8. Let's go. Okay. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're the same size? Yes. All right. All right, good job, guys. You can go back and look at any of these examples in the lesson on the video. And then here's your homework page. Same kind of thing. What are the equivalent fractions to the one they show? So which one, what up here is the same as half? Write that fraction. So we're going to do a lot of that on the front. It's just like the front we did on our guided practice. So it's always good to have your guided practice with you. And then on the back, you're going to answer our story problems. So please practice these because equivalent fractions can be a little bit tricky and practice makes it a little easier. I know that I didn't get it for a very long time when I was younger. And when I draw a picture, even now as an old lady, if I draw a picture, I can see what they're asking a lot better. So if you want to have pictures drawn on your papers, great idea. It's always very helpful for you to be able to visualize it until your brain understands what they're talking about with the fractions. All right, guys. That is all we have on that page to do. So then you just have your writing to practice. Remember in Google Classroom to go do your vocabulary and write that into your book. And I think you're doing a great job. So I'm going to work on our video for our read aloud and get that sent along too. All right, guys. So proud of you. Keep working hard. Talk to you tomorrow.